We are advancing on from the stage in Saving Democracy, where Democrats try to remove their duly elected nominee, and advancing towards Democrats panicking and reduced to hoping for another public misstep by Biden, according to the New York Times. Democrats are now at the point where they know they are powerless to stage a coup against Joe Biden, so they're hoping he screws up.
Did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
He doesn't think he did. Now, many elected Democrats are expressing concern about this answer, too, although it was quite coherent. George Stephanopoulos asking him how he would feel if he ultimately loses to Donald Trump, which polls have suggested he will.
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do. That's what this is about.
As long as he gave it his all and did the goodest job he could do. That's what it's all about, is it?
So when Biden does the sit down with George Stephanopoulos, they really leave out of the picture that George Stephanopoulos is a Rhodes Scholar. Really, he's a Rothschild Scholar because the Rothschilds funded the Cecil Rhodes Scholarships. So like Bill Clinton, there's an Anglo-American establishment guy right there to make sure that like the right perspective of Biden is maintained, and it seems to fall within their agenda, right? Trump's agenda doesn't seem to fall within the Anglo-American agenda, though it does fit within the Anglo-Israeli agenda quite nicely, and he's very popular over there. So there's a lot more to be learned on those topics, but I think we've had substantial enough time and evidence on that topic to show the erosion and degradation. And it's kind of like watching a boxing or wrestling match. Like imagine if you're watching Rocky 1, 2, 3, any of them, and they're like 10 rounds in, and you know, there's the lights out, and then all of a sudden Rocky's dead. He doesn't have a comeback. You would think something suspicious is going on there because there's some actions in between you didn't get to see. Similarly, in this situation, I think that Biden was on the ropes. Biden was knocked out. He's on the canvas. They were counting him out, and then the lights went out, and then when it came back, like somebody shoots Trump in the ear. Was Mike Tyson involved in this? He likes ears. I mean, what is the situation that just like coincidentally on schedule delivers an event that completely takes the media interest off of that other story, which until then, in that week, you heard like that was the main story, all about how the Democrats can't get rid of their own guy and what are they going to do? And they were buying 2 more days. Well, I think they just almost bought a week probably with whatever's gone on. Now, when I say they, I'm not talking about necessarily the person on the roof. I'm talking about the deep state that made the ill security plan for that event. And we're going to discuss that later. And if we could figure that out on this show, I'm pretty sure you understand that the Secret Service has a lot more resources than this show has. So little things like perimeters being set, deviation from the last time Trump spoke at that venue, all sorts of little things can add up to, like when they say, is it negligence or is it deliberate? If I'm building a building and we cut out a bunch of structure to save money and the building falls down, that's deliberate. You decided to cut out the things that hold the building up. Likewise, if you have a security plan and you deliberately don't put enough personnel for that type of size event or perimeter or number of people, that's deliberate insofar as you can create an opportunity in a crack or a crevice for someone like that to slip through. Now, am I saying that guy slipped through? Not from the evidence that I've seen. It seems a very, very convenient story thus far for one side and one side only, and we'll get into those facts shortly. But I also wanted to point out that tonight's episode, much like last week's episode, it involves a lot of intellectual self-defense. That means you're encountering data and you can't just believe it. You have to know how to question it, interrogate it, if you will, to find the evidence as substance, to answer the 5 W's plus how, all these sort of things. This is what we're doing this coming weekend. So if you're a listener of this podcast, I would like to formally invite you to Autonomy Mindset 3. You can register. It's free. If you'd like to stay for the workshop, there's a small fee. But for everyone here, you can come to the lesson, because this podcast in and of itself is an implicit classroom. We're covering the news, but we're also learning how to think through encountering news to see if it's actually true. So in this session, we're going to master the art of using intellectual self-defense. Why do we need that? We need it to discern truth, to be able to navigate life, tough conversations, to be able to protect ourselves from deep state agendas, things like this. It's going to go on Sunday, July 21st at noon to 4 p.m. Eastern. And again, you click the button, you register for free. The ability to practice intellectual self-defense is directly getting in the middle, in between they, them, those who can easily be named, who are trying to take away your freedom, and the ability for you to keep your freedom, because it really comes from they gain power from you believing things that are not true. So if you had some methods to defend yourself against psyops and manipulation and propaganda and manufactured consent, you'd be better off long term. These are long-term skills. So if you would like to know more, you can come to the part for free. The informative lecture, we're breaking down media headlines. We have convenient media headlines this week to work from, don't we? And it's going to go on Sunday, July 21st, noon to 4 p.m. Eastern is the whole workshop. The first part of the lecture probably goes about an hour and a half. And you can register right here for the free lecture only, or you can buy the VIP all access pass, where when the lecture ends, we're left with a small group of people and we can interact on a higher level. Here's the bonuses and what you get with everything. And the website is universityofreason.com/autonomy-mindset-3. Once again, universityofreason.com/autonomy-mindset-3. Doors close in 6 days, 13 hours. Don't wait. You don't have to wait till it's a free registration. Register, intend to go and see if life throws you a better offer. If not, we'll all get educated and learnified at the same time. There's some FAQs here. If you have any questions that aren't answered there, go ahead and drop an email.
Everyone's doing some kind of self-help these days, and you can find a million self-help courses out there. Most other courses out there are hosting lectures. They're hosting videos, they're maybe even doing Q&As, and these are great starting points to encourage learning. But at Autonomy, we believe that hands-on practice is the best way to really lock in what we're learning. There's no better way to gain confidence and mastery than through action. After each lecture, we practice the concepts we've learned with other students, giving and receiving feedback in a non-judgmental environment. The result is mastery of concepts like entrepreneurship, ethical sales, and self-reliance in an environment that directly translates to the real world. Plus, you make connections with other like-minded individuals who are learning right alongside you, and you have a lifetime membership in the community. The Autonomy course with Richard Grove equips you with confidence, competence, and courage in a world filled with confusion and noise. You can learn more at getautonomy.info. We'll see you there.
What makes the Grand Theft World podcast unique, invigorating, exciting, and informative? Most other podcasts out there are either doing straight up interviews or they're just covering the daily news. They're covering current events from the day they happened. And that is effective. It's useful. It's a great starting point. And then sometimes these current events change during the week past the first story. So we like to give it a little time. You have to wait till some of the dust settles on these stories in order to give them accurate coverage. And the other thing that's really missing in the media landscape is covering the articles that are coming out every day. That's great. That's necessary. But who's bringing in contextual history so that you can understand what has been going on for decades and decades to lead up to the machinations and actions that we see unfolding today? So what we do here on the podcast is we cover current events. Many of these things are censored, but we wait about a week. As a forensic historian, I focused mainly through my career on the history of globalism and collectivism and things that they call maybe the New World Order.
there's a lot of facts to these sort of circumstances, groups, events, activities, working groups that they've had over time. So for Grand Theft World listeners, we not only break down the current events, most of which that are censored during the week, we provide you with contextual history, we give you the source notes, the references, we do deep dives, and this really empowers you with an understanding of context and history so that you can make more informed decisions in your life. There's also a community, a membership where you guys can actually ask questions and we can get into the show and we can share evidence. And there's a town hall weekly for Grand Theft World for those who listen to it and are interested in covering the stories that we don't get to during a 6-hour show. Listening to it an hour a day, you could easily consume the week's news, but you're going to have substance and meaning and context and understanding. And with that, you can make higher quality decisions in your life. So if you're interested in more quality in your life, go to grandtheftworld.com, click podcast at the top, and we'll see you there. Thank you.
These allegations are false.
This isn't Grand Theft Auto, folks. This isn't a video game.
What are the most surprising things that you discovered once you started pulling on that thread? Who he was connected to, what institutions he was influential over, what events he participated in?
Come on, man. What are we talking about? Come on, man. No.
You don't have to think about it, dude.
I got this quote because you said you didn't know much about Klaus Schwab. I made it my job to, as soon as this happened, I'm like, okay, this guy's their front man. Let me learn about the official history of the World Economic Forum. I got their 40-year history. I got every book that Klaus Schwab has written or ghostwritten. I went through those books. This is one of the most interesting passages.
Come on, man. Come on.